Hi, I'm Davina, and I'm recovering from complex post-traumatic stress disorder and narcissistic abuse. And today I would like to share with you my thoughts on what's keeping you stuck. So, what keeps us stuck in these kind of codependent, narcissistic kind of dynamics? So, the first one that I'm going to share with you is kind of the basic reason for all of it, and that is that we are conditioned to fawn or people please. And so as children, um, we don't really have the capability to fight people who are 3 times our size. Flight, well, there's nowhere to go. And so most of us turn to the fawn or the freeze response. The fawn response was coined by Pete Walker, and that is the people pleasing. And so if someone, if you were kidnapped by someone and they were holding a gun, and you would do everything you could to try and please that person in hopes that they weren't going to shoot you, right? So I kind of liken it to that kind of, I mean, that's maybe a slight exaggeration, but you know, these are the people that put a roof over your head, put food on the table, give you clothes. And so if they are behaving in ways that are unhealthy and abusive, then naturally the only thing left you have to do is to try and please them in hopes that they abuse you less or maybe don't hurt you at all. So we end up pleasing them and also feeling sorry for them because yeah, it's like that kind of Stockholm thing that we kind of start developing this kind of, well, they call it, the trauma bond. We start having pity and feeling sorry for them, and we start trying to like help them and fix them and, take care of their emotions. And it's all because, of this basic survival instinct. So that is the conditioning that keeps us, in this and then, of course, it continues into our adult relationships as well. So that is number one, the fawning response. Number two is how we learn to, or how we are conditioned by our parents to invalidate ourselves and deny our own feelings and experiences. And I kind of call this the perfect crime because as they teach us to invalidate and deny our feelings, then of course they're kind of free to do whatever they want, because then we're just going to say, well, it must have just been my imagination and I must be just overreacting. And so then whatever abusive things that they're doing or unhealthy things, we're going to just, end up gaslighting ourselves. So in this way, we end up, denying and refusing to see that their behavior is unhealthy. Even when they're ignoring us, disregarding us, disrespecting us, hoarding the conversations, we end up justifying their behaviors somehow, because we don't want to believe that it's their thing or something. We don't want to believe it. We just can't believe it, right? And we just think, oh well, that's not really happening, because that's what we've been taught to do, is to deny. That's basically the narcissist's thing, is deny, right? So they even deny our experiences, our realities. And that's how they maintain control, of course. So that's number two, is this our own denial, that we deny our own feelings and experiences because of the conditioning. And number three is similar, kind of connected to that, is we end up focusing too much on their good aspects. And this is really huge in many situations. Um, so there'll be good aspects of the relationship, and there'll be the unhealthy and abusive aspects. And we see both, and it makes us, this is the confusion, right, of the whole narcissistic thing, is this intermittent reward kind of system. So they'll act in ways like they maybe won't listen to you, or they'll stonewall you, or, you know, one of those tactics. And then on the other hand, maybe you'll have a good day with them, and you'll go out for dinner, and you'll have some laughs, and you'll have some fun, and then you'll think, oh, well, they're not that bad, it's actually pretty good. But then you'll have another day, and then it just gets very confusing. And so this kind of, yeah, back and forth, like one day it's like a pendulum. It's like, whoa, one day you're thinking, oh, they're not that bad, and the next day it's like, oh my God, like, oh, that's horrible, right? And then it's just like back and forth, back and forth. I did that for several years after, well, not several, but a number of years anyway, before I ended up leaving my marriage. So just have, yeah, deep compassion for yourself if you're there. It's really, really confusing. But this is how we get addicted. This is actually how we become addicts, is that we become addicted to these little crumbs that we get, you know, they're nice to us, and then we're just like, ooh, oh, they actually talked to me today. Oh, yes. Oh, wow, an empathetic statement. Ooh, let's hold on to that. And so we kind of yeah, we're just like, you know, oh yeah, we're so connected today. It was so wonderful and magical, you know, and of course the next day is crap, right? But we tend to focus on these more so-called, we think that they're connected times. So that was number 3. And number 4 is how we've been conditioned not to express our anger, not to express any unfair treatment. So whenever we were, you know, when we were little, it's like, no, you know, if you were angry about something, your parent just got more angry at you, right? And like, no, you know, so that wasn't allowed, right? You couldn't protest their unhealthy behaviors. It just wasn't allowed, right? And so what I found myself doing, and I think it's quite common, is just like I'll be in that situation where someone is doing something that I find is not fair, for example, an unbalanced conversation, and I'll just sit there and I will, in my head, be thinking about, oh, wow, look at how present and calm I can be, and this is not affecting me at all. Oh, I can just sit here and I'm not bothered by them at all. Like they can just do their abusive thing and just rolls off my back. I don't take it personally at all. I know it has nothing to do with me. So it's this kind of like, I'm tough and I'm stoic and nothing affects me kind of thing, even though it is affecting me, right? So again, it's this kind of like twisted kind of denial. Yeah, it's weird stuff. So it's, yeah, again, coming out of that denial and untwisting those thoughts, those beliefs that we weren't allowed to, like, say, hey, wait a minute, you know, like I get to set a boundary here, you know, this isn't fair, or doesn't feel right to me. We're so conditioned out of that, like we had no right to any boundaries. So it's really important to know that you do have a right to boundaries. Number 5 is that we were conditioned to believe that we existed solely to serve them, to make sure that they were happy and comfortable. You know, we didn't want to do anything that would kind of rock the boat or make them feel a little like insecure, right? And so again, that's kind of the conditioning is, don't speak your truth, because if you speak your truth, you get in trouble. And basically, yeah, we're afraid of that rejection, right? And so this can kind of twist into feeling like that we're kind of noble in some way, in thinking that our kindness will somehow change them or heal them. So it's like, yeah, we think it's kind of being the rescuer. Like, we think that if we're just nice enough, or we're just compassionate enough, that that they'll be able to, their behaviors will change, and then we'll feel better, right? So, and in this way, we can also start to feel like we're superior to them. So it can boost our own ego to think, well, I'm more compassionate than they are. I'm more present than they are. And secretly want to fix them and heal them. So that was number 5. Just got a couple more here. Number 6 is, I guess continued on to that, is we secretly believe that they are going to change. We think that there is a person inside there that is going to be empathetic and caring, and is one day going to pop out, and we're going to go, wow, I knew you were always that kind of person. And it never happens. So we just go on and on thinking like, well, they must change, right? Like, like we're in a relationship, and I love them and they love me, or we're friends, or whatever the relationship is. And thinking that this person, because we think we see some of their good qualities, and, they probably do. Everyone has some good qualities. And so we think that this other kind of person exists, and we think that they are going to, like, someday change and like become this more loving and attuned and empathetic person, and they don't, they really don't, because they haven't done their work, and they're not interested in doing their work. And finally, number 7 is what I was just reflecting on this morning, and that is that we end up thinking, it's kind of the bottom line, is we think, oh, it must be me. It must be me. We see the way they're behaving toward us, and we're assuming that these are healthy, good people. We thought when we came into the world, these were our parents. They're looking after us. I mean, they were, feeding us, and we needed to believe that these people were, I don't want to use the terms good and bad, but we needed to believe that these were healthy, capable, emotionally available people that were caring for us. We really wanted to believe that, because how could we believe, like, these people are taking care of me, but they're also hurting me? Like, that is it's very, very confusing for a child. How do they hold those two things, right? And so we end up, of course, turning it on to ourselves and say, well, I guess it must be me, because there can't be anything wrong with my parents. They're my parents. They're older than me. They seem to know what they're doing. I guess it must be something wrong with me. What am I doing? Maybe I need to be a little bit more like this, or maybe I need to change this about myself. Maybe if I just do that a bit less, then they'll like me and accept me. But it doesn't matter what you do. They don't want to accept you as you are. They want to just simply kind of mold you into their idea of who they want you to be, so that they can maintain their sense of control and power, and so they can stay in their denial and not have to look at their own wounds and pain. So yeah, those are the 7 things that I wanted to share with you today. So again, I'll just kind of briefly go back if I can. Number 1 is, yeah, the fawning response, the conditioned response to fawn and people please that keeps us stuck. Number 2 is our own denial of their unhealthy and abusive behaviors because of the conditioning that we had to deny and invalidate ourselves. Number 3, focusing too much on the good, or the, you know, so-called good aspects of the relationship due to that intermittent reward and reinforcements. And number 4 is, yeah, that the tendency not to express our anger, our discontent, and to pretend, or just to, you know, kind of be this calm and just, oh, I need to be more compassionate. So, yeah, number 5 is thinking that we're there to serve them, to fix them, to heal them, and feeling sometimes noble in that. And number 6, yeah, being convinced that they're going to change someday and holding on to that hope. And finally, number 7 is that thinking that it must be me, that there must be something wrong with me, that I'm doing something wrong, and not acknowledging the fact that, oh, wait a minute, maybe they're the ones that are mentally and emotionally unhealthy, and why am I trying to please these people? So I hope that was clear and easy to be understood. And yeah, I'm wishing you so many blessings on your journey. It is so hard. It is so easy to get stuck in these kind of relationships for months, years, decades, even, because of all these deeply ingrained, conditioning. Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to untangle. So, you know, definitely give yourself a lot of time, a lot of gentleness, and just have patience, because it is possible. So, wishing you many blessings on your journey, and a peaceful day. And I'm Davina at Boldness Blooming.